Hey there, I'm Dr. Dave. Welcome to Microdose U. A question that sometimes comes up is, do magic mushrooms and similar psychedelics affect the heart? In particular, the heart valves and thickening of the heart wall. And I'll tell you why this question comes up. There's been some, I don't know, I wouldn't even call them studies really, but some light research or some anecdotal research or studies that say that since magic mushrooms, and we'll include LSD in that, since they act on the serotonin receptor, which is called the 5-HT2B. Now, you don't have to memorize the name of that. It doesn't matter what the name is, but it's a receptor where the magic mushrooms or psilocybin, or I guess psilocin and LSD attach to become effective. And while these drugs do act on that receptor, there's no real solid evidence that they cause heart valve problems or structural heart changes. And of course, it's worrisome because if there's a possibility of heart problems by even microdosing these substances, I mean, that would absolutely be a concern to me. I've been a lifelong athlete. As far as I know, my heart is in pretty good condition, very good condition, and I don't want to do anything to take a chance of damaging my own heart. So yeah, that would absolutely be a concern for me. And occasionally I get asked this question, and my answer is generally, well, there's really no true evidence, but am I sure? No, I'm not 100% sure. I can't be 100% sure. But today I wanted to devote an entire podcast episode on this because guess what I did? I went ahead and I had an echocardiogram a very short time ago because I wanted to check to see if my heart's okay or if the magic mushrooms have messed with my heart and caused some damage. I wanted to see. That's very important to me. So today I'm going to actually share the results and we'll see, have the magic mushrooms screwed around, messed up with my heart? Have they? We're going to find out. We're going to find out right in this episode. So I had an echo done about 5 years ago, and that's a really good thing because I can compare this echo that was done basically after about 3.5 to 4 years of microdosing magic mushrooms, and we'll see if there are any differences here. So the main things we're concerned about looking for are the health of the valves and the health, or the not the health, but the thickening or not, if there's not thickening of the heart wall at all. So I'll go over my results here. I've got them right here, and let's talk about it a little bit. Let's see if psilocybin has screwed around with my heart in any way. So I'm going to go over the key findings of my own echo right here. Okay, one by one, let's get through these. And if you have an echocardiogram that you have had or you're going to have, you can use this as a little bit of a reference because these are really important things to look at. So I've got normal left ventricular size. It does say mild LV hypertrophy. Now, I will say this, that mild hypertrophy is common in athletes due to long-term conditioning. And I've been at least a 5-decade athlete, a marathon runner, backpacker, skier, just all kind of things for at least 5 decades now. So you would expect to see some positive changes in my heart. So I'm assuming that's where this mild hypertrophy comes from, mild LV, which is left ventricular hypertrophy. I have a LVEF, which is left ventricular ejection fraction, at 75%. Now, I will tell you the normal is 55 to 70%. So 75%, even though it's above normal, is that good or bad? Well, I'm not really sure, but when I did my research, it says that it is very likely due to my strong heart function, which again, it's a little bit over the max, which is not really a concern to me, and certainly wouldn't be caused by psychedelics at all. I do have a mild diastolic dysfunction that is also common with aging, and again, there's absolutely zero evidence that this is linked to psilocybin or any type of psychedelics at all. I have a normal right ventricular size and function, no issues here. Heart's balanced and strong. I do have a mild aortic insufficiency and mild tricuspid regurgitation. Now, also, this is very common in adults over 50 years old. It's not progressing. In other words, it's very similar to what it was in the year 2020. So no, the mushrooms have not changed anything at all with aortic insufficiency and in a mild tricuspid regurgitation. I do have mild pulmonary hypertension, which I think was also noted on an earlier echo. But here's the thing. Again, this wouldn't really be related to mushroom use. And also, I live in Salt Lake City, which there's an elevation here I'm at 4,200 feet. That's where I live. It's a decent altitude there. So elevation itself can certainly cause this. It's very mild. It's stable. My cardiologist is not concerned in any way. And also, it's not linked to psilocybin. What else do I have here? Mild dilation of aortic root and ascending aorta. Now and I will tell you, I think let's see, my number is, I'll give you my number. I think it's 4.0, which is on the high side of normal, maybe. Yeah, and also a lot of that has to do with my height. I am 6 feet 2 inches in height, and the aortic diameter is related to how big of a person you are. This is absolutely not related to any type of psilocybin use. And also, it's not really of concern just because of my height, and it's a mild dilation. That's all it is. My cardiologist said I have no limitations. I could do pretty much whatever I want, which I do. I'm pretty darn active still. Oh, and also just another point with the aortic dilation. There's absolutely no change from my scan, which was 5 years ago. No change at all, which again kind of proves, at least in my case, that the mushrooms have not affected that whatsoever. I have a normal IVC size, inferior vena cava, I believe that stands for, and inspiratory collapse. Suggests good fluid balance and normal right heart pressure. So those are like the highlights. I mean, it's a pretty detailed report here. I don't have to read everything to you, but I want to share that the bottom line is there's no sign of damage from after 4 years of microdosing psilocybin. Absolutely no sign of heart damage from that. My echo shows strong heart function, very consistent with my previous scan from 2020. My experience shows that psilocybin, in the way that I've used it, has not affected my heart at all. Now, again, this is not medical advice, and I know this is not a scientific study. It's just me. It's anecdotal. But the good news is that people are worried that it could damage my heart. Well, again, here I am, your faithful guinea pig. After 4 years of microdosing magic mushrooms, it has not done anything in a bad way to my heart whatsoever. So that's really, really good news. I've got a couple things from some comments on YouTube and podcast episodes that I want to share with you, and I'll answer some questions, at least one question that I can think of right now. But I do want to remind you that we have a brand new episode that comes out every Wednesday. Every Wednesday, brand new episode, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, basically wherever you receive your podcast, you're going to find Microdose U. And make sure you check out the show notes in every episode. I've whittled it down to give you just the absolute most important information in all the show notes, and my website, microdoseu.com. It's microdose with the letter U on the end of it. Hopefully you've been there, but if you've never seen it, check it out. It's got some really good information there. Now, let me go ahead and answer a question that was posed to me on YouTube just a couple days ago, actually. Let me see if I can find this. Okay, it's from Mohanad Almadi. Hope I didn't botch the pronunciation too bad there, my friend. Hi, Dr. Dave. I started using Lexapro 3 days ago, and I'm thinking about staying on 5 milligrams of Lexapro, 5 milligrams for a month, and then combining it with microdosing psilocybin. Would you recommend this approach, or is there anything I should consider before trying it? When you say trying it, I'm assuming you mean trying psilocybin. Thanks for your input. That's actually a really good question, and I've never been asked that in that way. In other words, what he's doing, he just started just started Lexapro 5 milligrams, which is a very, very low dose, by the way. And those of you that have been on Lexapro or any type of SSRI know that it likely takes at least a couple weeks. Once you start it, it takes a couple weeks at least before you can feel anything, any change, any effect, any positive effect at all. So he's asking me. He just started Lexapro, and now he wants to use magic mushrooms and try that for anxiety or depression. Um, wow, it's so if you start both at the same time, which this would be actually what's happening because again, the Lexapro is not really taken effect yet. So if you start both of these at exactly the same time, you're not going to know what's working and what's not working. If you start feeling better, which you probably will, is it the effect of the Lexapro, the low dose Lexapro, or is it going to be the psilocybin? So again, I don't want to be giving medical advice, especially since this is a prescription pharmaceutical, and I'm sure you're working with your doctor on this. So I don't want to give medical advice on this. However, if it were me and I hadn't started Lexapro yet, which is essentially what's going on here, again, because it takes a couple weeks. So if I hadn't started Lexapro, I would probably not start with Lexapro. Probably start with microdosing psilocybin and see how that works. Now, my answer always is if somebody's on Lexapro, currently on it, and they've been on it for quite some time, I say, yes, now start magic mushrooms, use them concurrently. And when you feel that the magic mushrooms have kind of taken over and you're feeling really, really good, then you can start to wean off of the Lexapro. But in this case, it's a little bit different because, again, it hasn't started working yet. So again, I'm saying if it were me, I'm not telling you what to do. If it were me, I would not start the Lexapro. I would start with magic mushrooms and see how that goes. And you can always go to Lexapro if you want to. I mean, again, it's a low dose. You can always try that, but that's what I would do. I hope this helps. Also, a short time ago, I got another comment which was kind of incredible. Also, again from YouTube. I won't give the name here on this one, but she said, Dr. Dave, thank you so much for your podcast. I really love it. I've learned a lot, and you probably don't even realize that you likely saved my life. Wow, when I read that, it gave me the chills kind of, but it made me feel, I think the chills in a really good way. I mean, I likely saved somebody's life through my podcast. That's that's really powerful to me. That's what this is all about. I used to say all the time, if I help one person, then I've done my job. Well, we just had proof that not only did I help one person, but I likely saved a life. Wow. I'm so happy to hear that. And thank you so much for writing in about that. Wow. I don't know what to say. I'm kind of speechless with that one. But I do know what to say that a very short time ago, I recorded an episode and I talked about how I actually personally have paused all of my psilocybin, my magic mushroom microdosing. Yes, I put it on pause, but I explained exactly why. And if you're on YouTube, I'm pointing right to the where you click for the next episode if you want to watch that. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, I'm going to put it in the show notes because if you haven't heard or watched this one yet, it is one that you don't want to miss. I'm Dr. Dave. I love you. I'll see you in the next episode.